An industry leader in work zone safety, Flagger Force has built a geographically dispersed team that puts education and safety first.
The effort, the energy that we commit, that we put in to having engaging content, meeting the employees where they need to be, optimizing what we're doing, giving them a voice to communicate with us. That's really what it was all about.
That's Luke Lazar, Vice President of Risk and Safety at Flagger Force. Luke and training manager Leslie McRobbie joined DaVinci's Angeline Evans and me to share the unique ways they deliver training and engage their workforce. Next on Powered by Learning.
Powered by Learning is brought to you by DaVinci Interactive. DaVinci's approach to learning is grounded in 30 years of innovation and expertise. We use proven strategies and leading technology to develop solutions that empower learners to improve quality and boost performance. Learn more at davinci.com.
Joining us today are DaVinci Client Solutions Consultant Angeline Evans and our guests from Flagger Force, Luke Lazar, Vice President of Risk and Safety, and Leslie McRobbie, Training Manager. Welcome to you both.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hello. Thank you for having us.
Thanks.
We're looking forward to the conversation. Luke, start off by telling us a little bit about what Flagger Force does, and then share some information about your role at the company. And then Leslie, would love to hear what you do too.
Sure. Thank you. Flagger Force is a industry-leading short-term traffic control company that is headquartered in Hummelstown or central Pennsylvania with operations that span the eastern third of the United States. We have a little more than 2,000 professionals in the field on any given day, setting up and operating in approximately 1,000 active work zones. Short-term traffic control is traffic control that is set up and torn down all within one day. Our services are provided to support construction, energy, utilities, telecommunications, infrastructure work across our footprint. As the Vice President of Risk and Safety, my key role is to strategize on policies and practices to ensure the safety of our employees and our clients throughout each day on every job. I also have responsibility for mentoring and coaching the safety team, the safety professionals who primarily focus on preventing work zone related incidents and I also oversee the company's educational processes.
And I'm the training manager at Flagger Force, and I lead a team of trainers and develop learning programs so that our employees stay safe and prepared in the field. I create everything from micro-learnings to hands-on learning and courses, and I work closely with our supervisors to make sure classes are meeting the operational needs of the organization. I'm also focused on helping our trainers to grow professionally and keeping our education aligned with best practices and safety standards.
Well, Angeline and I live in central Pennsylvania, and I'm pretty sure that central Pennsylvania is under a constant state of construction. And I see the Flagger Force team members out all the time and can really appreciate what they're doing and certainly understand the need for training because they are out in the middle of it every day. So thank you for all that they do.
Yeah, so you have a really dispersed workforce with only fewer than 200 people reporting to an office. And Luke, you mentioned, I think, 2,000 folks out in the field. How do you keep a sense of team and a strong company culture when that's really, the nature of the job?
Yeah, that's correct. We have a small group or small percentage of people that report to offices on any given day. That's primarily our corporate support staff and folks that work within our operations services center, which primarily dispatches and supports our field operations. With our workforce being, primarily deskless and very dispersed, we have worked on innovative methods to engage with the employees and deliver information in formats and in manners that are tailored to meet their specific needs. One of the primary ways that we do that is through our customized field communication app, which we call In the Zone or ITZ. And it really is an innovative way of communicating back and forth with field employees, dispersed workforce. It's done through a mobile app. It's downloaded on the employee's smartphone, and it allows us to share content, and collaborate with employees in real time, answering our crew members' questions and needs, reinforcing safety policies, and just really helping them with their responsibilities in the field. This internal communication app is really key to our strong culture. Our employees engage very, very actively on the platform. Within the first year of rolling this application out, this program out in a voluntary manner, we had approximately 98% engagement. So again, to think about asking people to engage in communications with the company and getting a near 100% engagement is really extraordinary. And what we found is that those that do engage on the app do stay connected, and we have a much higher retention, an increased retention by 68% for those folks who communicate actively on the app. And I think that especially since Leslie has joined the training team, we have absolutely flipped the script from we train people to we educate people. And there's a noticeable difference there. And you can see Leslie's energy for the process, and that's very contagious. And you see it through the rest of the training team, and you see it in the results, right? Again, voluntarily taking safety related training is just kind of unheard of. So for us to have such a high acceptance rate is really astonishing.
Thank you so much, Luke.
In the Zone, well, first off, I love that title. But what an incredible way to stay connected. And 98% engagement, is that even heard of in an internal communications platform? That's incredible. So it sounds like I was going to ask you if you had any challenges, but as you were talking, it sounds like it hit the ground running. Was there anything that really surprised you when things kicked off, aside from the response and the engagement response you received?
Well, it is a catchy name. We do have a few of those for our different programs around Flagler Force for sure. And I think we were all very pleasantly surprised by the engagement, right? I don't know that we were really prepared for the engagement that we did get, but I largely attribute that to the quality of the content on the platform. The effort, the energy that we commit, that we put in to having engaging content, meeting the employees where they need to be, optimizing what we're doing, giving them a voice to communicate with us. That's really what it was all about. There certainly have been challenges along the way. There's been technology challenges at time and a variety of other things. But yeah, we're very pleasantly surprised with what we do. But it takes a lot of effort. Yeah. We have full-time members of our communications team that work diligently to make sure it stays relevant for our field employees.
How do you do that? How do you make sure it's relevant? I mean, Leslie, when you're creating this content, how do you know that you're going to get that 98% engagement? You must be, as Luke said, meeting them where they are and what they need.
Yeah, the key is to staying relevant is really just to keeping up with your employees, being in the classroom, having your ears to the ground, watching those streams that we have where they're talking to each other, listening. I think that's the human part of the job, is making sure you're meeting them where they are as people and not just as employees, right? Compliance is so important, but it's also really important to understand what they need as people, what they need as learners. So it's watching those test scores come in and seeing those gaps, identifying those gaps, and understanding that you've got to create the content that they need and that they want. Finding out what those interests are and finding out what they're looking at and what they're engaging with, that's the way to do it. So it just involves having your eyes really open.
So in addition to field communication, how else are you leveraging In the Zone?
Well, In the Zone is a very powerful communication tool, but one thing that I recognized shortly after joining the company was that we needed to be able to leverage our communication methodology to begin to educate people. And we did a variety of searching and looking for platforms, and we landed on something referred to as microlearning, these 3 to 5 minute tidbits of learning that we deliver through a partnership actually between the organization that runs our ITZ application and an organization referred to as EduMe, and we deliver those in what we call FF Learns or Flagler Force Learn micro-learning educational pieces.
Leslie, talk to me a little bit more about how you're training folks in the field and bringing that relevancy piece up. But like, what formats are you using? What are they receptive to?
We publish once a week our micro learnings, which are called FF Learns, through our LMS, which we push through ITZ. So in our ITZ, we are able to once a week, just same time every week, deliver micro learning. And those contents we keep them very short, right? Short, sweet, and to the point. We don't want to take out a lot of time in their day. We don't want them to have to spend a lot of time digging. We just want quick content that starts with a brief introduction to focus attention. We want a clear learning objective to preview. What are going to be your key takeaways? What are you going to learn? We want to deliver content in these short, engaging bursts, clean visuals, minimal text. We want to end with a multiple choice quiz that explains the correct answers and explains the incorrect answers. Why is it not this answer? We want to wrap up a summary. We want to have a nice, clear call to action. We use real life examples, videos from Flagler Force incidents to bring lessons to life. Actual things that are going to happen, not just things that have already happened, right? We're going to actually look at these situations and investigate them. We want to have varying formats, topics. We try to avoid repetition. We keep a pretty diligent list of what we've done. We also bring back seasonal things, so we make sure it's relevant to the time. And again, we try to respond to those current field trends and needs. So we're making sure it's timely and relevant to them.
I love that you're doing almost those after action reviews with real things that have happened. Sorry, Luke, go ahead. It sounded like you were going to say something.
That's okay. I just was going to add a little bit to Leslie's comments. Really, if you think about the genesis of our Flagler Force Learn or FF Learn content, the idea was, again, to meet people in the place that most suits them to learn. Folks are very accustomed to looking at a mobile phone, looking for answers to problems, questions, or concerns. They're also used to, spending some time throughout their workday, whether it's on a break or at the beginning of the workday, looking at their phone and doing something. So we decided to deliver these micro-learning pieces through the app, directly through the app that they were already engaged in. We, again, got an extremely high acceptance rate. When we started FF Learn, it was completely voluntary. There was no need you didn't have to do it. There was no need to be on it. And I challenge almost anybody to say, what was the voluntary acceptance rate of any training, but specifically safety-related training? And again, we exceeded that 90 percentile. So right out of the gate, the quality of the content and the understanding of our employees and meeting them where they were. They literally pull into a job site, have a few moments before they start. They pick their phone up and they look at the micro-learning. They complete it. It's relevant for the topics or the concerns that they're going to have for that day, and then they go about their business. And that's really what what started this whole program. We wanted to get it to them at the right time, in the right place, in the right format that they would accept it and engage in it. Later, we added, promotional prerequisite courses. We added some mandatory content. We, have evolved the program over time. But we were literally astonished by the acceptance rate of voluntary safety training.
I believe it. It sounds like you just have this innate safety culture. Has it always been that way, or do you think these two, like the FF Learn and the In the Zone, really propelled that forward?
We certainly have an innate safety culture. That would be a true statement. Yeah. Our tagline is we're safety driven, right? Mm-hmm. It's on our vehicles, and it's true. It's true literally, from the boardroom to the break room to the field to everywhere that we go. And it truly is our culture. And we really can't discount the educational process that Leslie runs and the programs that we put people through. Yes, it contains micro-learning, but it contains extensive classroom training. It contains tabletop exercises and hands-on experiences in and around the classroom, but it also includes on-the-job training. And I think what drives our safety culture is all of that combined effort, and it being, essentially I would say, continuous, and you might even use the word relentless, to make sure that people are, part of that culture and fit into it.
Well, I like what you mentioned when we spoke a few weeks ago, Leslie, about how you're really monitoring what they're all talking about in the field. I remember you used an example of somebody, I think, who felt dehydrated, and your team's able to respond kind of in real time with helpful, trainings. Talk about that two-way process and how that helps the training be even more meaningful.
Yeah, having that stream and having them be able to bring up the issues that they're experiencing allow us to be able to create that custom content that gets out as soon as we need to, the information that maybe we already have put out there, but they haven't seen, maybe just as a reminder, like, hey, we do offer this, we have that, just basically helping them understand the policies that are already in place, but allowing them to see it now in a fresher way and get that information to them. So it's a two-way contact. It also, there's chat features on it. We're able to get communication about changes. We're able to have all this communication so that it doesn't feel just like I'm on the other end, but I'm far, far away. I'm here. I'm with you. We're together. We can get through this together. So whatever you need, bring it to my attention. We can make changes. I just had a good conversation with somebody about our CPR program today on the phone. And then he went and made a post on the stream about our great conversation. He tagged me on it. And people are all commenting. And that's so fun, right? We get this kind of social aspect to our professional conversation. So I think that's what makes it really great is this, conversational, we can work together. I'm not so far away. Corporate feels like together.
And you're making it convenient and in a platform that is very similar to a lot of the social platforms that we all use every day for personal reasons.
Exactly. Yeah, it's very familiar to them. There's no learning curve for them because they know exactly what they need to do.
It very much looks like other platforms that they routinely engage in, right? The kind of concept of the vertical scroll, the concept of being able to comment or, give the thumbs up or whatever else the case might be. And the expectation that there is a degree of freedom in that, but also a degree of professionalism within that. But also the fact that when the question is asked, they get a response. And what we oftentimes find is that the response comes from their peers rather than their superiors, right? So they might come back and say, make a comment about this doesn't seem right, or how do I do this? And before a member of the safety team or the training team can get to them, there may already be a post that goes up from one of their peers that says, this is the typical application that you should be using in this environment.
I love that.
That's some social learning at its finest right there.
They're all a part of the training team. That's exceptional.
Talk to me more about the structured pathways and voluntary training that your staff can take.
We have pathways that are structured so that when somebody comes in as a crew member, they're able to become a crew leader through these structured pathways. And when in the LMS, they can automatically start taking classes to get them set up for success for the next level. So we've selected classes that we feel would have information for them that would be really helpful for getting them to that next level. It'll automatically set them into that class, and then they can take those on their own time to prepare for the next class. And that way they're coming in with a little bit more knowledge than they would have had just having gone through that first class. That gets them up for a little bit more success and hopefully also shows that initiative that they're interested in taking it. It's a good sign for us. And it gives us just that opportunity to make sure that anything we're not covering in class, right? We're identifying gaps that maybe we can't cover or can be covered better through these learnings. So that way we can do more hands-on in the classroom. So in a lot of ways, it's great. But it also is really important to have a lot of structure for them, and it allows us to cover client-specific training. There's a lot we can do with that depending on where they are. So you can do a lot of custom things with those pathways.
Mm-hmm. And the formats to the individual learning experiences in those pathways may vary from the micro-learning to classroom to on the job. Is that correct?
Yeah, we really like a hybrid experience because the fact is it's just not one size fits all. It depends on your market. It depends on what you're going for. So it's important that there be a blend for everybody. It also helps kind of make it not so, death by PowerPoint only and only micro learnings. And that way you get the support you need at the field level and the classroom level and on your own. So we try to make sure we mix it up.
Absolutely. I love that hybrid experience. approach, especially for the audience you have. So any advice for other teams or organizations like yours that may have workers in the field who rarely sit at a desk, how to reach them and train them and, track the learning experience? Just overall, what are some of your words of wisdom?
I think that what I would say is that it takes effort, right? You have to be willing to commit the effort. You have to have the quality individuals who are committed and willing to work to make these systems work, right? We've talked to many people about our application, and the one thing that seems to be the Achilles heel for organizations to be successful with it is the commitment of resources to make sure that it is as successful as it can possibly be. We have very strong communication team. Leslie is leading an exceptional educational group, and there's tremendous effort and energy put toward it. And we allow those teams, we encourage those teams to put that effort into these systems.
I would just add, don't underestimate the field employees' desire to learn. I think sometimes we forget that human element of, they're out in the field, they're not going to want to learn. They don't want to come to the classroom. They're not going to want to take these trainings. People get really excited about them. And when we post about them, they'll write underneath the post, done. I did mine this morning. I did mine last night. They are excited to learn, especially if it's meaningful and accessible. So they'll show up for it. My theory is if you build it, they will come, right? Keep it real and relevant, and make it easy for them to get to, and make sure that you're keeping it short, friendly, and that you build it from a place of trust and respect. I think that it makes all the difference for them.
And it makes them, I'm sure, feel a part of the training process, and just helps retain them as team members with your company.
That's excellent advice. So when we spoke prior, you mentioned that you were using QR codes for video refreshers. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, we create video refreshers to support safe and effective equipment use in the field. So while employees do receive hands-on learning in the classroom for the equipment, they may not get regular use of the equipment or that type of equipment. So it could be a brand difference that they're experiencing. So to bridge the gap, we developed brand-specific video guides that walk through step-by-step how to use the equipment, to troubleshoot through the equipment, and to how to operate it properly. So it supports visual learners who benefit from seeing how tasks are done in action. So we then put QR codes directly on the equipment so that you can scan your phone and it links right to the guide so that they can click step by step and follow along while they're setting up the equipment, which just helps build confidence in real time, which is really important, which then hopefully will help minimize risk, injury, help prevent equipment damage, and reduce any operational disruptions, because sometimes people will say this equipment was broken and we'll go to look at it and it wasn't broken. They just didn't operate it correctly. So if we have these QR codes there, that really helps to get them walked through the process. Now, the codes go back to a bit.ly link, which will show us how many people are using it. So we know if it's being used or not. And we have those separated by market. So we know where they're being used, when they're being used. So we can even see what slide they got to. So then we can identify what's the area of concern. And it's like, oh, it's the pin. The pin on this one is the problem. So that's really great, because then we can target our classroom instruction to really that problem area and say, we know that the whole thing needs to be taught, but really this is where people get stuck. So I think it's a really cool tool that we have.
Yeah, what an excellent way to just reinforce learning and use that data to beef up your classroom training where it needs to be and give them that, information in their moment of need.
Yeah.
So what's next for learning at Flagger Force? Are there any innovations on the rise? I mean, you quite frankly sound very innovative as it stands, but we love to ask, especially with AI being out there now, what organizations are up to and thinking about in the future.
So continuing those structured pathways and certainly leveraging AI in all of our processes as we can. We are only, I think, limited by our imagination. So I think that's going to be the key, is not letting ourselves get in our own way. I think expanding those client-specific trainings is huge, especially as we grow our footprint and we encounter more clients, and making sure they understand that whatever their needs are, we can meet them, and we will find that way to get whatever it is they are expecting or they have to have. If it's OSHA 10 and we can't provide that for our trainers, let's find a way to work to accommodate by creating a curriculum that aligns with OSHA 10, but works better for our employees. So onboarding is getting a major upgrade, and that's going to make a huge difference for our classroom to make the classroom portion more engaging and less paperwork heavy. We are exploring augmented reality so that we can simulate high-risk scenarios in a safe, controlled environment, maybe escape routes or watching your partner's back, but in a way that doesn't put anybody into harm. We're continuing to lean into animation so that we can show setups, teardowns, and really helps with those visual learners. And then, I think we just have a lot on the horizon. And as long as we have these amazing tools and we keep our eye out and we keep learning about what's to come, we keep growing, we're going to be in good shape.
I think also on the horizon is another episode of Powered by Learning in a year or two, because you have so many great things coming up. We're going to have you back on.
Yeah, we're excited. Yeah, it's good. It's good to have something to look forward to and to know that, it's going to benefit so many people, right? That's the joy of education, is that it spreads out and then it goes down, right? Like I can go out and teach one person how to do something, but I love being able to give those trainers that knowledge so that they can teach all those people, and then they can go out and teach those people. And the tree is beautiful.
And you're keeping your team members safe and the community safe, which is just another wonderful benefit.
Great layer, yeah.
Well, thank you very much for joining us today. We appreciate you sharing your insights and continued success in all that you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
My thanks to DaVinci's Angeline Evans and our guests from Flagger Force, Luke Lazar and Leslie McRobbie. If you have questions about this episode or ideas for future ones, please reach out at info@poweredbylearning.com. And don't forget to subscribe to Powered by Learning wherever you listen to your podcasts.